What can you tell us about how the Fox Foundation engages with the uncertainty of federal funding and how you work to offset those impacts, knowing that you don't seek federal funding, but you're definitely one of the major players in the research game?
Certainly, yes. And I will eventually punt this to Bradford, who's actually working with those research teams. But yeah, we have a really great new head of our policy team who's a former I believe he ran for Congress in Minnesota at one point. So he's very knowledgeable how all of this works. And when I first met him, he made a really good point to us, kind of as the administration was changing. We didn't know what was going to happen, as with any administration. And he said, you just have to adjust strategy. Maybe one year it makes a lot more sense to focus on federal policy, which is something that we did in 2024, and we're continuing to work on that, which I'll go more into later. But, if we're seeing the signs that we're investing our efforts at the state level might be more fruitful, then that's what we're going to do. But the mission at the end of the day remains the same. We're just have to be flexible and nimble in how we do it. So, seeing the cuts at the federal level, from a policy perspective, that's really where the state-focused work we're finding is really important and really successful. And yes, like I said earlier, the Michael J. Fox Foundation doesn't get any government funding. So thankfully, our foundation has remained healthy, which is great because, we partner with university research teams and help fund those projects as well. We just are now working in this ecosystem where we know there's a bit more of an onus on us to have to step up to the plate a little more. And I think Bradford can speak more on sort of the bridge funding projects that we've started.
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned, we have a long history of operating in a funding ecosystem. It's not that it's just one funder. No one funder can solve all these problems. It is a tremendously challenging time to run a lab in scientific research, and especially in a space like Parkinson's, where the number of those labs is not as large as it is in some different research communities. So we're doing what we can to fill the gaps, to work with researchers to help steward their projects forward, but we can't do it alone. And I would say, we have a long-standing history of partnering with federal funders. We actually fund research that happens within NIH's institutes, because we care about that work and because they've been reliable partners. But overall, it's important to just recognize that anytime there are sudden changes in the funding ecosystem, it really changes the landscape and it really threatens the work that's already underway. So our priorities have really been around trying to fill the gaps where we can, to plug those holes in the pipeline, to try to keep the most pressing research moving forward. And we're going to do that to the limit of our resources and abilities. And one way that we're doing that is through this bridge program. The goal of the bridge program is that we are working with people who have projects that are being threatened by a loss of NIH federal support, and we're trying to find some supplementary support to help them get them to the next stage. We may not be able to fund an entire project. We likely won't. We certainly can't fund all of them. But if there are good ideas out there, if there are projects underway, we want to make sure that work moves forward. We don't want to see that progress lost, and we don't want to see that opportunity kicked down the road 3 or 4 years before they might have access to additional support.